What's a very disturbing fact almost nobody knows? There's 21 to 46 million slaves living right now. In child porn cases, someone has to actually watch the video beginning to end so they can testify about it in court to seal a conviction. A friend of mine works for the federal government and his job each day is to watch child pornography so that they can prove that the person was in fact creating or distributing child porn. It's a ducked up job. In 1977, the average life expectancy in Cambodia was 18.91 years. That's because the Khmer Rouge killed anyone who wore glasses. Because that meant they knew how to read and therefore were a bad intellectual. Encephalitis lethargica causes you to slowly survive but not live. After bouts of deep sleep, where patients can be woken very easily but fall immediately back into the deep sleep, they're left with post-encephalitis symptoms. The main one being that their minds are fully aware and conscious, but they can't physically function, a bit like locked-in syndrome. And they display extreme apathy. They even know they're displaying apathy but can't express any emotions. So they're completely stuck. You and today I learned someone throws a ball at them, which they then can immediately catch. Or until someone holds their hand and walks alongside them. Then they can suddenly walk. Otherwise nothing. So bizarre. Edit. Typo. Edit 2. I've never seen it. But based on the comments this is definitely what the film Awakenings is based on. Peas. Wow, didn't expect this to blow up. Thanks so much. Sounds like a college freshman. It used to be believed that babies as old as 15 months couldn't feel pain. As a result, doctors would perform surgery without anesthesia. Doctors used muscle relaxants on the infants to prevent squirming, essentially paralyzing the babies for the duration of the procedure. How long ago was this? Reports indicate that this continued up until the 1980s. Edit. Here's a few sources. Source 1. Source 2. Source 3. As an infant in the late 80s, I fell and split the top of my scalp open. Local doc refused to numb my skin BC according to him babies that little. I was maybe a year old. If that, don't feel pain. I'm very glad I can't remember back that far because it would probably have really ducked me up. I'm late but the average adult male has a biting force high enough to rip someone's throat out with their teeth. Found Rick Grimes. Due to fresh drinking water being so scarce on the Galapagos Islands, some bird species, such as the Galapagos hawk, have adapted by drinking the blood of other animals. The original Gatorade. Approximately 2,100 children are reported missing every day in the US, or one every 41 seconds. On the bright side, most will be returned unharmed. On the bleak side, the survival rate very rapidly declines over time. On the even bleaker side, in the cases of missing young adult men in the US, there's fair chance a missing individual will be ruled deceased after a rather short search with minimal evidence. Even if no body is found, generally it's labeled as deceased due to natural causes. That is, drowning in any nearby source of water, getting lost in any nearby woods, just getting lost anywhere and dying. After which the search is completely abandoned. The Romans used to torture people by having goats lick their feet. Goats like salt so they would soak their feet in salt water. Eventually the goat's tongue was rough enough that the skin would wear away. Then you'd have a wound with salt trickling in. At first I thought you meant that they would soak the goat's feet in salt water. Organophosphates, including the chemical weapon sarin gas, work by inhibiting your muscles' ability to relax. Your muscles basically constrict and can't unconstrict, causing what feels like a muscle cramp through your entire body, your arms, your chest, your eyes, your tongue, everything. It most frequently kills via asphyxiation. Because you can't exhale, surviving means a permanent, irrecoverable loss of motor function, even with rapid medical treatment. Also originally discovered while chemists were trying to make a more effective insecticide. I'd say they succeeded. A toddler's adult teeth are right below their eyes. I just looked up a picture of a toddler's skull and all I got to say is what the actual duck. A single tiger killed 434 people in India. The Tigress of Champort, whose last victim was a young girl, was killed by Jim Corbett. According to the FBI, over 40% of murders go unsolved. Meaning if you get killed, there's a pretty good chance the person who killed you will not spend a day in jail. Bad news for you. Good news for me. One of the first symptoms of heart disease can be sudden death. It's funny, because it can also be one of the last symptoms. There are 8 nukes that are missing all around the world. Oh, that's actually not all of them. According to this, there's a grand total of 51 nuclear weapons lost in the world. 40 Russian, 11 American. One of them is apparently half a mile off the coast of Georgia. And the city of Savannah is within its blast radius. A vitamin D deficiency can make you suicidal. And deficiencies among adults is very common. Like more than 50% of the population in the US. My vitamin D number was single digit when I went to see my doctor because I felt depressed. I now take a big weekly dose along with diet change and sunlight to feel normal. If I hadn't gone to the doctor when I did, I might not have been able to face another winter. When a woman with breast implants is cremated, the implants will melt into goo. It drips to the bottom of the furnace and needs to be cleaned up once cooled. I wonder now, what happens to metal rod implants, pacemakers, etc.? It's pretty easy to create false memories. This is why memories brought back through therapeutic hypnosis treatments, in attempt to uncover when how the patient experienced trauma, don't hold up in court. Your mind can just make up something that never happened or didn't happen quite how you remember. There's a really interesting study where scientists basically coerced people into remembering things that never happened to them. If I can find, I'll link it. The dolphin who played Flipper committed suicide. Wait. What? Found this page about it gov.com link. Heartbreaking. On average, 30 people die in the US annually in elevator related incidents. This is my worst nightmare. The first face transplant was for an 8-year-old girl named Sandeep Kaur, who got her entire face ripped off by getting her hair caught in a thresher in 1994. The parents came in with her face in 2 pieces in a plastic bag. The transplant was a success, and the girl grew up and is studying medicine. And if you've ever wondered what a face torn off looks like, they have photos of it that aren't bloody, but very disturbing. Here you go. imgur.com link. And here's a music video of a bridge for guinea pigs in a Japanese mall. Youtube link. Serious question, is it a transplant if it is your own tissue? Isn't it just reattachment or autologous transplant? There are strains of Krebs bacteria that are resistant to all known antibiotics. I've said it on here before, but it still disturbs me to think about. Moray eels have a second set of jaws and teeth inside their throat. They latch onto prey with their primary jaws, and then the second set can move forward and either latch on and pull the prey down their throat or eat away at larger prey without having to let go. Creepy as duck. Non-avian dinosaurs did not go extinct immediately at the asteroid strike. There would have been a period when the survivors kept on slowly declining in number, starving to death before being able to mate and produce offspring. Long article. But have fun reading about this pond filled with stranded Cretaceous sea creatures that was created minutes after the asteroid hit the Yucatan. Turkeys love the taste of their own kind so much that they will cannibalize themselves while they are still alive. They're the cinnamon toast crunch squares of the meat world. Got an unusually high rate of birth defects, cancer, and other horrific maladies in your city's population? Surprise. There's a good chance your city is located on or near a Superfund site. Great, I live 7 miles from one. Hidden Valley Ranch is owned by Clorox. I'm sorry, what? Around 17 milliliters of human blood can substitute for an egg in baking. Finally, I can make a decent self-lay for my vegan GF. Tens of thousands of people in America were forcibly sterilized by the government as recent as 1981. This still goes on today. Talk Poverty.org link. As recently as the early 1800s, people ate parts of corpses believing them to have medicinal properties. Blood, power ground up from the human skull, and human fat were all thought to be cures for various ailments. Arguably, it still goes on today, with the practice of consuming placenta for its dubious health benefits. There was a fad for eating mummies. It turns out that there's a limited supply of mummies, so people started making mummies for other people to eat. There are little microscopic mites that live on your face, including your eyelids and eyelashes, and you can't get rid of. All they do is just eat dead skin cells, oils, and hormones that gather on your face. And those duckers don't pay me rent either. The sun dies in about 5 billion years. But Earth will be habitable for only another 500 million years because the sun's luminosity increases gradually, turning the planet into a dead, scorching rock relatively soon. Up until the 1800s, dentures were usually made out of dead soldiers' teeth. There's a type of planet called rogue planets that follow no orbit. So it is entirely possible that we have a Jupiter-sized ocean hurtling through space at 40x the speed of sound, and we will likely never see one. You are more likely to die on your way to buy a lottery ticket than you are to win the lottery. There is a type of mushroom that can grow on small bugs and control them. Cordyceps. It has hundreds of strains, including ones that can hijack ants, small spiders, and even tarantulas. If it's any consolation, mammal bodies are far too hostile for cordyceps to survive in. Although most insects and other non-mammalian smaller animals are vulnerable to cordyceps. Although it would have to have an adapted strain to be able to incubate in its non-native animal of choice. My local Benahena removed their glory hole, and everybody I've talked to about it is pretending that it never existed. The weirdest part is that the next closest Benahena still has their glory hole, so it's clearly not a corporate decision. There is so much WTF in this statement, I don't even know where to start. I love that you say the next closest Benahena still has their glory hole, as though 1, it's natural to expect more than one ducking Benahena in a metropolitan area. And 2, glory holes are just a thing Benahenas have. If you were to put the entire lifespan of the universe, from the Big Bang to the final heat death, onto a 24-hour clock, at the universe's current age, est. 13.8 billion years, we would not have reached the end of the first 30 seconds. If you were to go into the far future, past the point where there are no more solar systems, the planets have either been destroyed or become rogue planets. Where there are no more galaxies, everything either being swallowed up by black holes or being ejected from the galaxy. No more anything of normal matter due to proton decay. And no more black holes due to Hawking radiation. Even here at this point, you would not have reached 12 o'clock noon on our universe clock. The universe will spend most of its life as a dark, cold, empty void. You would be unlikely to find a single surviving subatomic particle in an area the size of the current observable universe, est. 98 billion light years across, until the background temperature reaches -460 or -273 Kelvin. At which point entropy wins. Time becomes meaningless and the universe remains in a cold, dead state for all eternity. Edit. Row. Never thought my existential dread-inducing rambling would earn gold. Thank you, kind stranger. Sir, this is a Wendy's drive-thru. Rats can fit anywhere their head can fit through. The rest of their body is collapsible and they have sort of hinged ribcages. One of the princesses of Ukraine like to push in the soft spots on babies' heads. WTF. Bedbugs have a needle for a dong and stab the female since females don't have a hole. Imagine getting stabbed during sex. You mean without having to pay extra? There's a species of spider that can swim. There's a species of spider that rolls itself into a ball and goes around the desert like a tumbleweed. Veterinary nursing has one of the highest suicide rates of any profession. At any moment a nearby star could possibly become a gamma ray burster and point a jet of radiation at the Earth that would vaporize us instantly. Math says a gamma ray burster located 100 light years away that aimed at us directly would generate the energy of 100 Hiroshima bombs per square mile across the entire exposed surface of the Earth. Anything caught in this blast directly would be vaporized instantly. It would also instantly boil the oceans and rip the atmosphere off the planet. It would end all life and leave the Earth a charred cinder in space. And it is 100% impossible to see one coming, since it's moving at the speed of light, because gamma rays are light. I'd be okay with that. I think. You never see it coming and it only lasts a fraction of a second. There are far worse ways to go. Make sure to like and subscribe so we can watch together.